Alexander Vasilyevich Sergeychik gained notoriety as a Belarusian serial killer who struck fear in the Szczecin and Grodno districts between 2000 and 2006. During his reign of terror, Sergeychik confessed to the gruesome murders of 12 individuals. However, the prosecution could only amass enough evidence to secure his conviction for 6 of these heinous crimes. As a result, he faced the ultimate penalty, receiving a death sentence from the court. His case serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in even the most unsuspecting places. Before we continue, I would like to announce a giveaway for a 1-year plan of Curiosity Stream. The link will be in the description down below, and it's the best I can do for now. However, I plan on creating new giveaways in the near future as well. I really appreciate all the support, and this is a small gesture of my gratitude for all of you, dear viewers. The giveaway will be open for a while so that everyone can catch up with the application. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Also, please reach out to me in the comments down below. Subscriptions and comments will count as one manual entry as well. Let's continue with our video now, shall we? Alexander Vasilyevich Sergeychik's troubled early life cast a shadow over his future. Born in 1970 in Semyonovka village, Byarostovica district, BSSR, he grew up in a large family alongside a brother and a sister. His father, an alcoholic prone to violence, subjected Sergeychik, his mother, and siblings to regular abuse before abandoning them for another woman. Despite these challenging circumstances, Sergeychik managed to complete his education, graduating from Makarovskaya Secondary School. He then pursued vocational training to become a driver. In the late 1980s, he served in the armed forces of the USSR from 1989 to 1991, before being demobilized in November 1991. Following his military service, he returned to his native village and found work as a driver for a local enterprise. A turning point in Sergeychik's life came in March 1992, when he spotted a recruitment announcement for the police force. He decided to apply for a position and successfully gained entry. Sergeychik excelled in his law enforcement career, graduating with honors from the Ministry of the Interior Academy of the Republic of Belarus. During this time, he married and started a family, eventually becoming the father of 2 children. Within the police force, Sergeychik rose through the ranks, eventually becoming a company commander. Colleagues described him as a responsible and executive worker. However, beneath his seemingly ordinary exterior, a sinister darkness lurked, as evidenced by his later reign of terror as a serial killer. Sergeychik's criminal history is marked by a disturbing series of events that unfolded over the years. It all began on September 18, 1992, when he committed his first crime by stealing a trailer from the Oktyabr collective farm. This initial act of theft set the stage for a lengthy criminal career that included breaking into garages, stealing cars, and various other properties. Among his stolen items were a carbine, a Walter PP pistol, and several dummy grenades. Over a period of 14 years, Sergeychik managed to accumulate stolen property with an estimated value of $900,000. In April 2000, Sergeychik escalated his criminal activities by committing his first murder. His victim was 21-year-old Helen Boltok, whom he had picked up as a traveling companion. They journeyed 76 kilometers into the Szczecin district forest, where Sergeychik had premeditatedly prepared a bottle of alcohol. After engaging in sexual intercourse, a horrifying turn of events followed as he strangled her, doused her lifeless body with gasoline, and set her on fire, all while robbing her of her jewelry and cash. June of the same year witnessed another gruesome act by Sergeychik. He entered the apartment of his 31-year-old mistress, Svetlana Pirskaya, following a heated dispute about divorcing his wife. Fueled by anger and under the influence of alcohol, he strangled her with a TV cable and then staged her hanging in the bathroom. He proceeded to seize any available cash from the apartment. In late July 2000, Sergeychik became acquainted with 19-year-old Lyudmila Kodik. Under the false pretense of visiting the Neman River, they consumed alcohol together. However, the encounter turned violent as he severely beat her, strangled her with a premeditated rope, and discarded her lifeless body into the river. Following this brutal act, Sergeychuk robbed her and burglarized her apartment. In 2001, Sergeychuk assaulted several detainees who had been arrested for public intoxication. His next murders occurred in September 2002, and he had an accomplice, his 18-year-old nephew, Dmitry Barkov. They embarked on a horrifying journey, searching for victims in Grodno, but initially failing to find one. Eventually, they ventured out of town and came across a parked Vaz 2106 Zhiguli near the roadside. Armed with Alexander's pistol, Sergeychuk approached the car and knocked on the driver's door, presenting his service certificate while demanding the car keys. When the driver, Viktor Syritsia, refused, Sergeychuk shot him in the head through the windshield, though Syritsia miraculously survived. Sergeychuk and Barkov then dragged Syritsia out of the car and beat him to death. In the same car was Syritsia's girlfriend, Elena Turchenik, who tried to escape but was caught by Barkov. She endured a horrifying ordeal as they took turns assaulting her before Sergeychuk ultimately strangled her with a towing cable. The criminals robbed their victims, tied their lifeless bodies with a towing cable, and left them in the car trunk. In November 2003, while on duty, Sergeychuk assaulted a detainee at his workplace and deployed a gas canister, which necessitated calling for an ambulance. Tragically, this case was overlooked. In February 2006, Sergeychuk, in a state of intoxication and following a dispute with his wife, visited his friend's mistress, Natalia Bazis. Earlier, he had consumed alcohol with his friend at her apartment. Several hours later, Sergeychuk returned to the apartment, where he subjected Bazis to a brutal assault, including sexual assault and strangulation with her bra. Her lifeless body was left in the bathroom as Sergeychuk proceeded to burglarize the apartment before fleeing the scene. These events paint a grim picture of Sergeychuk's criminal activities, characterized by a relentless and violent pattern of behavior that caused immeasurable suffering and tragedy for his victims. Following the heinous murder of Natalia Bazis, a series of events would lead to the apprehension and trial of Alexander Sergeychuk. His descent into darkness was about to be unveiled. After the murder of Bazis, investigators turned their attention to her circle of friends, including Sergeychuk. Despite having resigned from the police force by that time, his fingerprints were discovered on fragments of a bottle that had been used in the fatal assault on Bazis. Initially, Sergeychuk attempted to distance himself from the murder, but as he provided testimony, he grew increasingly perplexed and fell under suspicion. A search of his apartment and garages yielded a shocking discovery: items stolen from Lyudmila Kodik's apartment, as well as an arsenal of weapons and other stolen property. In February 2006, the former law enforcement officer found himself charged with 2 murders and associated robberies, leading to his imprisonment. However, this was only the beginning. As the investigation deepened, Sergeychuk faced additional charges for 4 more murders, with his DNA evidence linking him to the crime scenes. Under mounting pressure, Sergeychuk eventually began to confess, admitting to the gruesome murders of 11 women and 1 man. Shockingly, he detailed how his victims were subjected to sexual assault and murder before being either burned or discarded into the Niemen River. Tragically, the bodies of these victims were never recovered, preventing formal charges for these crimes. Psychiatrists evaluated Sergeychuk's mental state and determined that he was legally sane, further cementing the severity of his actions. The trial of Alexander Sergeychuk and his accomplice, Dmitry Barkov, commenced on February 20, 2007, within a closed court session. Sergeychuk faced a litany of charges, including murder with special cruelty to conceal another crime from hooligan motives, sexual assault, theft of property, including firearms, and various charges related to the illegal possession, carrying, storage, transportation of firearms, ammunition, explosives, and explosive devices. Ultimately, on May 22, 2007, Sergeychuk was found guilty of all charges and was sentenced to the most severe penalty, execution, with the confiscation of all his property by the Grodno District Court. In contrast, Dmitry Barkov received a 10-year sentence in a penal colony for his involvement in the crimes. The Supreme Court of the Republic of Belarus upheld the verdict without alteration. On November 26, 2007, the verdict was carried out, marking the end of a harrowing chapter in Belarusian history as justice was served, and the reign of a ruthless serial killer came to a close. Sergeychuk's arrest sent shockwaves throughout the law enforcement community, sparking a scandal that would have far-reaching consequences. On October 28, 2007, President Alexander Lukashenko took decisive action by signing Decree No. 540, titled, On Incomplete Service Compliance. This decree aimed to address the serious violations of lawfulness and inaction that had occurred in connection with the case. According to the Prosecutor General of Belarus, Peter Miklaszewicz, it became evident that numerous individuals within the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Prosecutor's Office needed to be held accountable for their role in these grievous oversights. In response to these revelations, a significant number of employees from the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Prosecutor's Office were subjected to disciplinary measures, ranging from the highest levels down to regional and district officials. The consequences were far-reaching. The first deputy head of the Ministry of Internal Affairs RB, Alexander Sergeychik, received a warning as a result of his involvement in the matter. Reprimands were issued to several high-ranking officials, including State Secretary of the Security Council Viktor Shaiman, Interior Minister Vladimir Naumov, and his deputies Viktor Filistovich and Viktor Zhyburtovich. The Deputy Prosecutor General, Stepan Kosucha, and Viktor Prus were also reprimanded. Strict reprimands were handed down to individuals such as the former head of the Internal Affairs Directorate of the Grodno Oblast Executive Committee, Anatoly Belashevsky, the former first deputy head of the Internal Affairs Directorate, Viktor Zherebelo, as well as the former heads of the Grodno Regional Administration of the Okhrana Association under MVD, Vladimir Pekarsky and Ivan Zmurshchik. The former first deputy minister of Internal Affairs, Mikhail Udovikov, faced severe consequences as he was stripped of his firearms privileges. In addition to these personnel actions, on October 31, 2007, a further shakeup occurred within the prosecutorial ranks. The prosecutor of the Grodno region, Vasily Litvinov, his deputy, Vladimir Onisko, and the prosecutor of the Oktyabrski district of the city of Grodno, Boris Taranko, were relieved of their posts. The fallout from Sergeychuk's arrest and the subsequent investigation underscored the gravity of the lapses within the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Prosecutor's Office, leading to significant disciplinary actions and restructuring within these institutions. Thank you all who stick until the end of the video. I would like to remind you to enter the giveaway. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and leave a super thanks if you are feeling generous. I am Alex, and this is Conundrum. Stay curious and stay safe.